All right, I'm back, and I missed last week, and I'm sorry. Usually I try and come up with an excuse on why I missed the week or how busy I was, but to be honest with you guys, I don't have an excuse. I just didn't feel like making a video last week. But I'm back, and I'm here to talk to you guys about one of the questions I get asked all the time, which is what gear do you use to shoot Major League Baseball? So let's get into it. I get this question all the time from you guys. What gear do you use to shoot all of those baseball games? And yes, I shoot a lot of baseball games. Probably way too many. So without further ado, let me present to you the holy grail, the holy trinity of cameras and lenses that you should use to shoot a baseball game.
There's a drive. Deep left field for the monster seats and gone. JD Martinez is on a tear, and that puts the Sox in the lead against the Yankees. High fly ball again to deep left. Gone into the light standard. His second of the ball game.
Now, in case you're wondering, yes, you do see 3 cameras here, and yes, I do shoot with 3 cameras at the same time. This saves a lot of time breaking down and putting together each camera and lens combination when you need to change things up, and just make sure that you're totally covered in any scenario when things are happening out there really fast. Now, by no means do you have to go out there and start shooting with 3 cameras at the same time, especially if you're a beginner or you're just starting out in sports photography. But this is Fenway Park, this is the major leagues, this is the show. If you're a team photographer, you really gotta be showing up with 3 cameras. Now, I'm a Nikon guy, I have been for a long time, so the cameras and lenses that you're gonna see in this video are all Nikon products, but keep in mind, every camera company makes the equivalent of these cameras and lenses. So whatever camera company you're familiar with or you're loyal to, they're gonna offer these same type of products. So I'm on the Nikon D5 bodies, which are really great for sports action. The D5 is an absolute tank of a camera, and it can really take a beating out there in the elements, the heat, the cold, the rain, the wind, and it shoots at about 14 frames per second, which really helps not miss a second of any of the action.
There's a high drive, left center field, and it is gone. Grand slam, Michael Chavis, 5-0 Red Sox.
And here comes, swing and a miss, he got him. A nasty curveball.
Now, the part where you can really have some fun is choosing your lenses, but how do you go about choosing? There are so many options to choose from. Well, my approach is pretty simple, but I think it works. Think about it this way: wide, medium, tight, always. That's my general approach, and I think it'll help you out when you're thinking about your lens choice. So let's start with the wide angle. The 24-70mm 2.8 lens is my bread and butter wide angle lens. Now, this lens is super versatile, and it's great for things like batting practice, warm-ups, pregame features in the dugout and in the batting cage, the anthem, and runouts. Is this the widest lens out there? Definitely not, and sometimes you're gonna need more coverage with something a little bit wider, like a 16-35 or a 14-24 super wide angle. But do keep in mind, those tend to distort your subject and warp the image, whereas the 24-70 really has no distortion whatsoever. Now, a lot of people will also say the 24-70 is a boring lens. Maybe there's some validity to that, and maybe there are more artistic lenses out there. And sometimes I'll swap out with a 24 prime or a 35 prime at f1.4 to really get that dreamy, creamy, milky bokeh in the background. But consider the 24-70 Mr. Old Faithful. It's versatile, it's sharp, and it's artsy enough to guarantee results in any situation. Now, stepping up to medium, I rock the 70-200 f2.8 lens from Nikon. Now, the beauty of this lens is in its versatility. You can use this lens for pregame features and also game action out on the field. This lens is great for things like pregame portraits, isolated shots of single athletes, detail shots, and mid-range or environmental game action. And I keep the 70-200 hanging around my neck at all times during play because it comes in super handy for any action that happens within the 10 to 30 foot range from my point of view. Now, the beauty of this lens is it begins to compress your subject, so you really get that nice perspective with a blown out background and no distortion whatsoever. Okay, for the basketball fans out there, if your 24-70 wide angle is your layup lens, think of the 70-200 as your mid-range jumper. If you had no control or no warning, and suddenly you were dropped into literally any situation or scenario and told you have to make good pictures, With both the 24-70 and the 70-200, you'd be able to deliver great pictures no matter what. Now, if these two lenses are your layup and your mid-range jumper, think of the 400mm 2.8 as your three-pointer or your full court shot. This is the big guy, the classic lens for hardcore game action. Now, maybe you can make some features with this lens, but its main purpose really is to shoot your peak game action and player reaction. This is the one that allows you to see things happening everywhere on the field and is great for action happening at home plate, the pitcher's mound, around the bases, in the outfield, and into the dugout. And while the 70-200 compresses the shot, this lens really takes that compression to another level. You know those sports action photos you see with a really blurry background and nothing in focus but the athlete? Well, most of those pictures are made with this type of lens. Now, I know what you're thinking, this lens looks very big, it looks very expensive, and you're right. But keep in mind there are many variations that will give you the same focal length and reach as this lens, but at a much lower cost.
High fly ball right field. Carrying back, sailing back, deep it goes. It is gone. It's quality at bat after quality at bat. He is having an absolutely magical season.
So you've got all three of them, but you're still trying to figure out how to balance them. When do I use which lens? How do I switch from one to another? I mean, at its most basic level, how do I even hold three cameras at the same time? All of this is definitely a learning curve, and it takes a lot of time to figure out and master. And keep in mind, every situation is different, but here's a general, high-level approach that works most of the time. To keep things simple, for the pregame, don't even worry about your big glass. Just leave it on the sidelines until the game starts. Just use a mix of your 24-70 and your 70-200 to make those great pregame features and document the pregame ceremonies or festivities that are happening out on the field. Those will cover the dugout area, the stretching and warm-up area, and any activity in the infield. Then when the game starts and you're shooting from the photo pit, you can put the wide angle off to the side and switch your focus more toward the 70-200 and the 400. That way you've got game action covered in the immediate infield area with the 70-200 and across the entire field with your big lens. But a good photographer will always keep their wide angle nearby. You just never know when you'll get a great sunset or great sky or some crazy sort of action happens right in front of you. Big picture, it's kind of like this. 2 out of 3 at once, but 3 out of 3 is never too far away. Does that make sense? I hope it does. At least it does in my mind, but we all know that doesn't really mean anything. But if you have any questions at all, please drop a comment down below. Let me know. I'm happy to answer any questions about this that you have. I love talking about this stuff, so drop any of your comments or thoughts down below. Make sure you hit like and please subscribe to this channel. We're closing in on 1,000 subscribers, which is really awesome. Thank you guys for checking in, and we will see you at the next one.